Understanding Saturated Fats. What the science says: for decades, saturated fats have been demonized as heart health villains. However, recent research suggests the story is more complex. Not all saturated fats are created equal, and some foods high in these fats can fit into a balanced diet. The latest U.S. dietary guidelines even recommend including small amounts of certain saturated fat sources like beef and whole milk, while urging people to avoid highly processed foods loaded with them. This shift raises a critical question: how do different types of saturated fat differ, and should it influence what we eat? Here's a breakdown. What's the difference between saturated and unsaturated fats? Dietary fats fall into two main categories: saturated and unsaturated. Both consist of carbon and hydrogen atoms arranged in chains, but their structure determines how they behave. Unsaturated fats have at least one double bond between carbon atoms, making them liquid at room temperature. This includes monounsaturated fats, olive oil, avocados, and polyunsaturated fats, fatty fish, walnuts. Saturated fats, however, have exclusively single bonds, packed with hydrogen. This structure makes them solid or semi-solid at room temperature. Think butter, lard, or the fat in red meat. There are over a dozen kinds, categorized by carbon chain length: short chain, medium chain, and long chain. Chain length affects how these fats are digested and their impact on cholesterol. The key types of saturated fat: the primary kinds include butyric acid, short chain, found in small amounts in butter, linked to gut health. The body produces more from fiber fermentation than from butter itself. Lauric acid, medium chain, predominant in coconut and palm oil. Absorbed rapidly and metabolized quickly by the liver, though its effect on cholesterol is debated. Stearic acid, long chain, found in beef fat and dark chocolate. Some research suggests the body converts a small portion into oleic acid, an unsaturated fat, making its cholesterol impact relatively neutral. Palmitic acid, long chain, the most common saturated fat in the American diet, abundant in red meat, butter, and processed foods. Raises LDL cholesterol when replacing unsaturated fats. Where do we get saturated fat? Foods rarely contain just one type. They're usually mixtures. Beef tallow contains palmitic and stearic acids, while dairy fat includes palmitic acid and unique fatty acids that researchers are still studying. Here's where you'll find them. Dairy. Full-fat milk, yogurt, and cheese offer a mix, potentially with a less harmful impact than other sources due to the food matrix, nutrients working together. Red meat contains palmitic and stearic acids. Leaner cuts have less, but processed meats are often higher. Butter contains some butyric acid, though gut bacteria produce more from fiber. Coconut and palm oil. High in saturated fat, with coconut oil being predominantly lauric acid and palm oil rich in palmitic acid. Highly processed foods. Pizza, fried foods, pastries are major contributors, often containing palm oil and potentially artificial trans fats. How much saturated fat is too much? While saturated fat supports hormone production and nutrient absorption, excessive intake can raise LDL cholesterol. The 2020 5-20-30 dietary guidelines recommend keeping saturated fat under 10% of total daily calories, about 22 grams on a 2,000-calorie diet. The American Heart Association suggests even lower, no more than 6%, around 13 grams. Experts recommend moderation, not strict elimination. Limiting highly processed foods is the most effective way to reduce intake while improving overall diet quality. The bottom line: saturated fats aren't monolithic. Some may have less impact on cholesterol than others, but many still raise LDL levels. Prioritizing unsaturated fats, whole foods, and limiting processed foods remains the best approach for heart health. While small amounts of saturated fat can be part of a balanced diet, moderation is key. Editorial sources. Everyday Health follows strict sourcing guidelines to ensure the accuracy of its content, outlined in our editorial policy. We use only trustworthy sources, including peer-reviewed studies, board-certified medical experts, patients with lived experience, and information from top institutions.